Each month, All Heart Heating and Cooling will award $1,000 to a nonprofit you nominate. Go to callallheart.com/grant and tell us about a group you're proud of. It's $1,000 awarded each month to the good hearts who make this area a great place to live. Call allheart.com/SCV.
All Heart Heating and Cooling. Comfort is only a heartbeat away.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Good afternoon and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Thomas Polucki.
On your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, we have Henry Mayo Hospital represented here by Jennifer Whitcomb, who is Director of Cardiovascular Service, and Renee Leon is the manager of the Hospital Foundation. Good afternoon, ladies, and welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having us.
So it's not such a big
yes.
stretch having, heart health people here on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And so what's going on in the cardiovascular services over at Henry Mayo that is relevant to Heart Health Month?
Well, there is a lot of things going on with our program and surrounding Heart Month. We have a lot of events planned, a lot of speaking events, a lot of presentations, a lot of celebration. Our program is growing quite quickly. We're very proud of it. We want the community to know about it and to understand everything we're doing. But I will let Renee start with the events this month.
Oh, wow. So, yes, we have a lot of community education, and we're having a fundraiser next month. And I think next week is Girl Talk on February 21st. It's at 6 p.m. And you can still register. Go to henrymayo.com. And there's a panel moderated by Dr. Amanda Woodworth, where it's just an open forum for direct questions with providers in that area of cardiovascular health. And really, it's just a lot of straight talk. And I want to give a huge shout out to Pocello Winery for donating the wine that night. And we'll have some dark chocolates and some appetizers. And it's free and open to the public. And we'd really like to see a good showing there.
Dark chocolate. Oh,
Yes.
that is my favorite. I love dark chocolate.
Red wine
especially
and
with
chocolate,
a little
right?
glass of red wine.
There you go. Perfect. So, okay. So can I just back up a second? I've heard this before, but what exactly is Girl Talk? There's a meeting on campus where anybody from the public can attend for free?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think
specifically, where on campus?
So on our campus, but it's the building directly across from the hospital, and it's
The
called
new
the
one.
Henry Mayo Center. It's
Okay.
the building in between the two parking structures, and it's on the ground floor in our education center. We open up the classrooms that we normally are there for our nursing education, and we open it up and we invite the public to come in. And it's really the brainchild of Dr. Woodworth, who is a breast surgical oncologist. And she found, and women's health is her passion. And she just found that there's always these barriers, more and more you find that when you visit with your primary care doctor, they're 15-minute appointments. There's not a lot of time for questions and follow-up. So she really just wants to empower women to talk about their own health, and this gives that forum. Everybody's welcome. It tends to be, 99% women, sometimes 100%, but it's really just a way to have a straightforward conversation with physicians that specialize, and they change the topics. I believe it's every other month is the forum, and they've talked from gut health to breast health this month will be cardiovascular health. I know they've done mental health. So it's a whole series with different topics every single month. So
So
Awesome,
this
yeah.
month is cardiovascular.
So this month, our panel includes Dr. James Lee, who is an interventional cardiologist at Henry Mayo and UCLA. He is our medical director of our cardiovascular services. He'll be speaking. We have a genetic counselor for cardiac disease. And then we have Reba Spooner, who is a nurse in our cardiac rehab program. And then we will have a table at the event with all of our newest and brightest toys, our technologies from the cath lab. And I've asked our female staff to come and work at the table and help the community understand what we're doing here at Henry Mayo.
So what is cardiovascular rehab?
So that is a program we have at Henry Mayo. After a patient gets discharged from the hospital after having a stent placed or open heart surgery, it's a rehab program. It's kind of like a physical therapy, but for cardiac patients who can go in and start to get active again after a cardiac event, and they're monitored by nurses. They're on a cardiac monitor. We get their blood pressures. We really watch them and make sure that they can advance back to being active again.
Being normal again.
Yes. And it's a good thing because it gets all of the patients in one room and they really relate to each other and they can, ask each other questions, and so it's a really great program.
That's terrific. That's great. It really is.
Yeah. So these are two separate things we're talking about right now. Your cardio rehab. So when you say they're hooked up to a monitor, we're checking everything. They're monitored by nurses. What are they actually doing there? Are they doing some kind of physical exercise?
Yes, they are exercising on different machines.
Yeah. All right. So
Helping them get back to normal.
Yeah.
As normal as can be.
All right.
After having
and a
heart
lot of
attack.
education also. The nurses are doing education the whole time the patients are exercising.
Yeah, that's
Right,
great.
What to do and what not to do.
Yeah, lifestyle modifications, blood sugar, diabetes. They have different topics each week, so they move along different topics.
So re-educating everyone after going through something that drastic, because
Correct.
that's drastic, really is.
Yeah, and are you the director of this program, or is this just one of the things that you oversee?
I am the director of several departments. My cardiovascular service line is the cath lab, where we do the angiograms and the stenting, that kind of stuff. And then I'm over interventional radiology, which is a procedural area. I oversee cardiac rehab. I oversee EKG and the treadmill room where they do stress tests. And I oversee the vascular access team.
Okay, what is vascular access?
That is a team of nurses that
Besides a tongue twister.
Yeah. It's a team of our own nurses that were trained and board certified to put central lines in. So they do like PICC lines and that kind of stuff.
I got you.
Vascular access.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is literally what the words mean.
Yes, that's
We're-
what I wanted to make sure.
Okay, so what are the main things that are going on this month in particular? I mean, you've got a lot of CV services, and you said it's growing, and it's what actually is growing, and how is it growing, and what does that mean?
Well, just a little background. We opened our cath lab in 2012. We got our ST Elevation MI certification designation, which is in 2013, we could now take acute heart attacks by ambulance, where previous to that, they would go down to Holy Cross. So we got designated by LA County in 2013. And then through the years, we've developed, we have a very strong interventional cardiology program where we take these heart attack patients, we put stents in them. We can put supportive devices in them when their heart is failing. We've really progressed a lot in that program. So we've really perfected that program at this point. So then we developed an electrophysiology program where we can do ablations on atrial fibrillation. And that just kind of works on the area of the heart that atrial fibrillation comes from, and that way we can hopefully resolve it for patients. So that was an entire program we developed. And then the next program was our TAVR program, which is where we do aortic valve replacement via the groin. We access the groin. We don't have to open the chest. Patients come in and they go home the next day with a brand new aortic valve.
Wow.
That was a
Good
very big
heavens.
program.
That
for our
is a big
community.
deal.
Yeah. And then, we have a lot of things we're working on now, but the main thing that I'm kind of presenting this month especially is we are bringing in a technology in the next month that will diagnose a lot of disease in women. Women present, we all know women present differently with heart attacks. When we see the typical patient, we see, a male with his, hand to his chest, crushing chest pain. That's our typical presentation. But women present very differently, and they have different disease processes than men. Men typically have obstructive coronary disease, what we call, which means they have disease in their main coronary arteries. So we can stent that. We have our 3 vessels that we can stent. But 60% of women that present, the disease is not obstructive in their coronary disease or in their coronary arteries. We can't see it on angiogram. Because 90% of the blood flow to your heart actually comes from what we call the microvasculature, not the 3 main arteries. It comes from all these teeny vessels that come off the main arteries. So we can't see that on angiogram. So, these patients come in, we do the angiogram, and we don't see anything, so we have to kind of preemptively medicate them, and we don't really have a definitive diagnosis for what we're medicating them for. So we are implementing a technology called the CoralFlow pressure wire. This wire detects disease in the microvasculature, where previously we had no technology to do that. So now we can bring these patients in, we can do an angiogram, and we can get a definitive diagnosis, and we can medically manage them with different medications like long-acting nitroglycerin, beta blockers. We can manage them, they can go home, and they can have a better quality of life. They can, they won't have to come to the ER anymore with chest pain. All of these things, they congest the healthcare system, and they don't have a great quality of life. So this is a really great technology for our community. We do get a lot of young women, young men. It's a very young population we serve in Santa Clarita Valley, so we're really excited to introduce
Yeah, I
it.
saw
Well,
something
one-
pretty. Sorry, Bob.
One word stuck out to me. What is ablation?
Ablation is so we take catheters and we go in. About 10 catheters go into the heart, and what it does is it burns the area of the heart where the atrial fibrillation is coming from. So we go in there and we map out all of these points around the heart, and we can test and find exactly where that's coming from, and we can just do a little burning of that area to stop
So
the atrial
that's
fibrillation.
what ablation is.
Yeah, we do all
Okay.
kinds of ablations. All the arrhythmias we can ablate, like supraventricular tachycardia, ventricular tachycardia. We can ablate all of these things. And then, the next step down the road is the Watchman device. The Watchman device is what we're trying to build the program for right now. And that is a higher level of atrial fibrillation treatment. And that's a device that sits into we insert it via the same thing through the groin. So it's all percutaneous and not opening the chest. But it's a teeny little device that sits in the left atrial appendage in the heart. And that area of the heart is where the blood pools in atrial fibrillation. So clots form, and then patients have strokes because they throw those clots. But with this device, it's a very quick procedure. They implant this device in the heart, atrial fibrillation goes away, and they can actually go off blood thinners. So it's a game changer for people with atrial fibrillation.
Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing. And that's current or that's coming?
That's something I'm working on building the program right now. We have a very large atrial fibrillation population in this community. It's our number 2 patient population for readmissions.
Okay, can I just ask, since you're throwing around statistics, I saw something that was truly disturbing. The biggest health concern, because I'm on we talked about this on another show, like I'm just on the edge of the boomers, like I'm just outside of the edge of the boomers. But the biggest healthcare problems right now is in the under 50 group. Does that correlate with what you're seeing in your services?
We have a very young population, like I said. We also, in the Santa Clarita Valley, we have a very large catchment area, meaning we service a very large radius. We go all the way up to Lake Hughes, Bakersfield. is the border, and then all the way down to Holy Cross. We're the only hospital in this valley. That's a very important thing to remember, because because we have so many patients coming in, and they're all so young. We have twice the national standard of cardiac arrests at Henry Mayo. We have a very busy, what we call STEMI program, meaning patients coming in having acute heart attacks. This is a very high acuity population in Santa Clarita Valley. We've never been able to quantify that or research. I know Dr. Lee wants to do some official research and publish a study based on this, because we've never been able to pinpoint the reason. But we are a very busy cardiac program here at Henry Mayo.
Well, we also have a large number of seniors out here.
We do.
Oh, my goodness.
We do.
I mean, before long, the whole Santa Clarita Valley is going to be seniors.
But with all the new development that's taking place at all times, that brings the younger population also.
That's true, but
So
it
we're seeing a
also
lot.
brings parents and grandparents
right.
with
Very
the
true.
younger people.
Very true.
Because the elderly sometimes don't have the money
Right.
to rent an apartment or buy a house or rent a house. So consequently, they end up living with their children. And that's happening a great deal up here.
So, Renee, one more time, the event that you're promoting right now is happening in March, right? It's not going to happen this month. It's going to happen in March, and it's designed exactly to do what, and what are the details as far as that's concerned? Because we want to make sure that we give you, that kind of an audience.
Yeah, thank you so much. I sit here probably just like all of you here in awe of Jen and her amazing team and the work that they do. And I know that she mentioned, that there's a tremendous amount of cases that they see. But I also want to say that, they do a very, very phenomenal job with all of those cases, and have been awarded some really great awards for the work that they do. And our community really just wants to show them support. And one of the ways that you can do that is by attending our fashion show that we are having on March 27th, where all the proceeds from that event will go to the Roberta G. Veloz cardiac cath lab or cardiovascular services. And the title sponsor for our event is Bree King of Prime Realty. And it's going to be at the Hyatt here in Valencia, and tickets are $85. The models are from various nonprofit groups through Santa Clarita. So we'll have someone representing from Zonta, from the Seroptimist clubs, some of our board members at the hospital, cardiovascular patients, and it's a great event. And very recently, it's put on by the Holiday Home Tour League, and they have changed so that all of the funds that they raised this year go to our Roberta G. Veloz Cardiovascular Fund.
That's terrific. That's terrific. Both Roberta and Tom were great people. Oh, my goodness. They really were very active in this community.
Very true. And with that very generous gift that she made
Oh, yes.
has impacted countless numbers of lives here in Santa Clarita. And
I'm
so,
sure.
as what she was saying with new technology and services, it really does cost a lot of money for not just the equipment, but for all of the training of the staff. And but it's really it's just a great part to support an amazing service that we have here at Henry Mayo.
I'm getting ready to head over to Sheila Veloz in the next few weeks. It's that time.
Okay, so Renee, one more time, real quick, the contact information for the event and for Girls Talk, please.
Oh, thank you. Everything that you want to know is always at henrymayo.com. You can go to the foundation straight from that same website and find out all about our fashion show. And then if you click on our classes and events, you can register for the Girl Talk. So that's all you have to do is register, and then you can come to the Girl Talk, which is next Wednesday, February 21st.
Okay, great. And the event is March 27th.
March 27th. It's
And
a
that
Wednesday.
information is all there as well?
Yes, same website, henrymayo.com, and then you click on support Henry Mayo.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Jen, thank you for your time. I know you're very busy. You've got a lot of plates spinning. Thank you for your time coming in here today. Renee, thank you for all the work you're doing to support the work over there at Henry Mayo. You're listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, hometownstation.com.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And our guest now is the one and only Pastor Jerry Cook.
Barbara, happy Valentine's Day to you.
Thank
and
you, my
to
love.
Dr. Polucki.
Well,
And
thank
the same
you.
to you. Isn't it one happy Valentine's Day?
So you got anything on St. Valentine?
You know, not much other than a massacre
Yeah.
that occurred
Yeah.
a few decades ago.
Yeah, in my area, back in New York, right?
Exactly,
Was it,
yeah.
or was it Chicago? I don't know.
It might have been either New York or
Yeah,
Chicago.
something
I
like
just know
that.
that you just stood against the wall
Yeah.
and it wasn't very good.
Yeah, it wasn't good for them. Yeah.
However, it is Valentine's Day. I did already celebrate with my wife a few days ago because we try not to go to a restaurant on the day of
Yeah, it's rough.
because it tends to be nuts. And so we went to a local restaurant last Thursday, enjoyed ourselves greatly.
Awesome.
And then today we did some, just some niceties in the morning, and I got her something personal, and then the kids brought her some things in. So yeah, we enjoyed ourselves.
So was it for her or was it for you?
A little bit of both.
Okay, enough said.
Let's just say that whatever I got her is an obstacle to what I really want. But anyway,
That's horrible.
So what else is new?
Doctor, that was good, huh? That was good. Yes, by the way, I'm a pastor of Freedom's Way Baptist Church. And I'm not ashamed of knowing and letting you know I love my wife. So
Well, I'm glad you do.
absolutely. And by the way, if anybody's watching on Facebook Live, Barbara Cochran looks gorgeous in her outfit today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank
Wearing
you, sir.
red, looking very Valentine-esque. If you only had a bow and an arrow, you could be like a female Cupid.
There
Yes.
you go. I
Right
don't.
through
I
the
don't.
middle
I don't
of the
think
hand.
that's where they aim, Barb. Sometimes it's better off that way, I guess. So, Pastor, all right, what's going on over at
Freedom's Way?
the church?
Well, as I was talking to you guys off air on March 10th, my wife and I will be celebrating 22 years.
Nice.
We had the privilege of starting this work 22 years ago. I had far more hair. And
What do you mean, this work?
the work of Freedom's Way Baptist Church. I actually planted the church.
Oh, the work.
Yeah, the work of the church.
That's okay.
Yeah, I
didn't know what
I
you-
planted the church. You've seen the building, so have you, Dr. Polucki.
Yeah, I've been there.
But when we first started, we were just in the community center. We started at Valencia Meadows in a community center, and then from there we moved to a small white building over off of 15th Street in Newhall. And then from there we went to a storefront over off of Sierra Highway, kind of down from where Tractor Supply is currently. And then by God's grace, all things worked out, and in 2019 we were able to merge into the building that we are in currently. And so we've been there now for just under 5 years, and we got a school. We're glad, and I'm just glad that after 22 years we're able to celebrate something.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And
Great.
What is the complete name of the church?
Freedom's Way Baptist Church, and
Freedom's Way
it is an
Baptist Church.
incorporation of my love for the country, and of course my love for the Lord Jesus Christ. And so our actual our logo is a flag with a cross in the middle of it.
Yes.
That kind of ticks some people off, but hey, what am I going to say? I'm not here to make you feel comfortable.
That's their problem,
I know it is.
not yours.
It is
and
exactly.
not the churches.
Dr.
It's
Polucki,
theirs.
what are you doing with your wife?
What am I doing with my wife? What am I going to do with my wife? That's a good question. You mean today?
Yes, for Valentine.
Well, I'm with you. I am in the camp of you don't do anything on the holidays. It's just a mess. It's never a great experience. So, as you did, we celebrated in a very small way this morning, and we will have a private dinner tonight when I'm done with office hours. And we'll do something more appropriate that is like what most people are going to attempt to do tonight on the weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just smarter. I do want to give Freedom's Way a plug. We went, I got to say, great messaging, family values, if that means anything anymore.
Depends on who you're asking, I guess.
So great message, great service, great band, by the way, which makes it all better. I think that is one of the main selling points of getting people anywhere on a Sunday is it's got to be entertaining, right?
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
Some people think that I'm a bit of a mixture of stand-up and serious sermons, I do think it's important that my philosophy is this. If I'm going to skin you alive with a sermon, you might as well laugh while you're being skinned.
Yes.
So, so
Makes
that's my
it more
philosophy.
enjoyable.
Yes.
And the message gets across a lot better.
I think so.
It really does.
As opposed to those real boring messages that those guys in Britain used to preach 100 years ago.
That's very true. They did.
Did I just call you limey guys boring?
I'm not a limey guy.
You're not, and you're definitely not a guy, Barbara. I'm glad that you're in our confused culture. I'm glad you're convinced of that. But anyway.
So
I don't want to get us off the air. By the way, I'm trying to behave here.
All right.
I'm trying to
You
behave.
are?
Absolutely.
So
you'd
22
be
years, yeah. So you got to watch her. 22 years, you're celebrating 22 years of Freedom's Way Baptist Church. Pretty cool.
It's a beautiful church, too.
What else is happening in the month of February for you? Because I know next month is a big deal. It's a big deal. About 2,000 years ago, a friend of ours was facing some real challenging times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the focus of next month, obviously, right? But what's going on this month there?
Well, we've had some small things, really. At the early part of the month, we had a ladies' fellowship. Every first Saturday of the month, the ladies get together and just kind of study the Bible, talk about each other's problems, pray for one another. That's usually the first Saturday of the month. And then the men get together the first Thursday of the month, 7 a.m., because real men get up early. And they will meet over at Havana, Savannah, which is over off of Copper Hill. And we'll have a little short Bible study there, have some coffee, talk about each other's lives, and then pray about those things. And then we haven't really had a major activity. We tend to have a Sweetheart Sunday, the Sunday prior to Valentine's Day. It didn't work out this year. We usually have a special speaker, and it just didn't work out this year. Our special speaker was already preoccupied with something at his own church. And so what we ended up doing last Sunday for our, quote, Sweetheart Sunday was we took family photos, sweetheart photos, and also individual photos for our upcoming church directory.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, we had a great photography, some great folks that are in photography come, great beautiful backdrop, and so everyone got to partake in that.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So when I came there,
Mm-hmm.
Great. Everybody was welcoming. They all, felt like, they were a family member that I haven't seen for years.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, wow, this is interesting in LA. but here's one thing that really caught my attention, and we were there, to see you and experience it. So I wasn't about to grill you about this, but we're there and really enjoying the band, right? And then all of a sudden, all the kids disappear, like they're gone.
Yep.
Like a lot of kids just up and left.
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit about what that was all about?
That's where we take them in the back room and indoctrinate them slowly.
Nice.
No. Just in case one of your listeners probably thinks that's what we do.
Just slowly.
No, what we do is we have junior church. And so we try to bring the Bible down to their age level. And so we have some great volunteers that do that. And by the way, all of our volunteers that are in our children's ministry have to pass a background test, all those kinds of things to make sure nothing nefarious in their backgrounds, things of that nature. And of course, I have to grill them, Dr. Polucki, before they actually are in a ministry like that with our children. But we cherish our children's ministry because obviously they're the future of not only our church but the future of our country, and and we're not there to necessarily parent them. We're just there to just kind of reinstill what those parents are already doing at home anyway. And so we wouldn't be assuming the parenting role. And also, there are some things that I might preach from the pulpit that tend to be a little more adult-oriented, whereas, maybe mom and dad would be more comfortable with the kids hearing the Bible at their level.
Yeah, in another room, away from this guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes I can say some things. Yes.
But that's part of life.
It is.
It really is.
You never know what you're getting at Freedom's Way,
No.
depending on a Sunday. So, but that's what we do, Dr. Polucki. I hope that suffices it.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. I enjoyed it. It was very refreshing to see that kind of community. And like I said, messaging, music, it's all good. It's not oh wow, just
It's not boring and it's not fluff.
A routine, sit, kneel, stand, sing
Sit,
songs
kneel.
that are horrible. Stand.
I think I know what kind of church background you're talking about right there. But anyway.
No, but I've been in churches that's all you do.
Yeah.
And
Lots.
It becomes very boring.
It
Well,
can be.
at least you get some up-down exercise.
Absolutely. You
I
do
think-
get your cardio in.
There
And
you
we're
go.
talking about hearts again.
There
we
you go. It's Heart
That's
Month.
right.
So there's definitely some cardio going on at your place, though. That band is kicking.
There is. And by the way, considering cardio, and I'm here with Dr. Thomas Polucki, I might as well just take a little opportunity and ask him a question.
Yeah.
Right.
So the older I get,
Yeah.
I'm probably still younger than you, Dr. Polucki. Maybe I'm older than you. Who knows? Plaque builds up in the arteries.
Doesn't have to, but yes, it typically does,
So-
especially in America. We just had the CV Center from Henry Mayo come, and they're having a big problem with the under 50 crowd.
Well, I'm the under 50 crowd.
Okay,
and
so
I'm
yeah.
47. I'll be 48 in May. I know I look well preserved, don't I, Barbara?
Yes, you do.
But thank you. I appreciate that. I was looking for that fishing comment, by the way. So obviously, I take heart medication, Dr. Polucki.
Yeah.
I have for almost 15 years.
Uh-huh.
What are some natural things I can do to kind of deal with the whole plaque buildup?
Sure. Well, the plaque is there for a reason. It's actually your body's trying to protect itself from your lifestyle.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah.
great.
So plaque is not the enemy. It can get to a place where it becomes a real serious problem, and that's where people like Henry Mayo come in, because they have to do some life and death stuff to you in order to try to keep you going. But the real answer is, long before it gets anywhere near that, it's all about lifestyle choices. 80% of all the problems out there are lifestyle related. So as much as you put into your faith, your body's your temple, yes? So I spent a lot of time in the Bible Belt, and we know about good barbecue.
Me's like your accent there, doctor.
We know about good barbecue, but good barbecue is doing nothing for your cardiovascular health. So I almost feel hesitant to talk about this, but I'm vegetarian. So I know that doesn't go over real well with the good old boys, but it is, there's some good science to reducing those stressors in your diet, number one, because that is the main thing. The chemistry of your blood is why the plaque forms in the first place. If there's a lot of irritants in the blood, then the blood vessel walls in your heart and throughout your entire body are going to have to protect themselves from those chemical irritants. And that's what the plaque is. It's protection. It's not like it's trying to get some Teflon going so that you're not tearing up the blood cells and creating heart attack and stroke. And that's
So real quickly, Dr.
Yeah.
Polucki, what
Yeah,
can
yeah.
I do to change that?
Okay,
if I-
so the simplest answer is it doesn't really matter what 20% of what you eat is. Doesn't matter. but it really does matter what 80% of what you eat is. So if 80% of what you eat is vegetables, you can go to town on the other 20%. It doesn't matter. I'm not into, oh, it's got to be paleo. Oh, it's got to be keto. Oh, it's got to be this one or that one or whatever. The studies show conclusively that the people who live well into their late 90s and even past 100 have one thing in common, and that is what I just said. If 80% of your diet is vegetables, the other 20% doesn't matter so much.
But what about fish and chicken?
What about it?
That's the meat that I eat. I very seldom, every once in a while, I'll have a steak.
Well, that works for you, but it might not work for everybody. I am not bashing any particular food group, but some people need animal protein. They absolutely need it, and I don't care where it comes from. I made a choice.
Your protein.
Yeah, I made a choice not to have to rely on that because I'm smart enough to know what I have to do to make up for that. And most people can't be bothered. I appreciate that. That's fine. Even regardless of what you choose that 20% to be, if you're making 80% of your diet vegetables and not, pork rinds, you're going to do a lot better. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I'm going to throw away my pork rinds as soon as the show's over.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. You're listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, hometownstation.com.
I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And we're speaking with Pastor Jerry Cook of Freedom's Way Baptist Church. And let's continue with our conversation.
Can I give a quick plug to the show here in about another hour?
Yes, you may.
If you want to stick around after the senior hour, at 2 o'clock today, I'll be on live for Politics in the Pulpit. We'll be talking to candidate Suzette Valadares, who's running for the 27th district.
Will she be here in person?
No, she's calling in because she's lazy today. But she has been in here. She has been in here in person. Last week we talked to I forget who we talked to last year, but we've had Hatami, we've had a lot of the guys that have come through here. So
That's
just a quick shameless plug. Thank you.
All right.
What's shameless about it?
Well, it was your show and didn't want to do that.
Well, that should be shameful then.
Oh, whoa. I'm being corrected by somebody who's British who knows the King's English.
Oh.
It is the King's English now.
Yes.
It is the King's English
That's
again.
right.
And do you know, as a pastor, I still use the King James Bible.
Very good.
That's the old 1611
Yes.
English, the Elizabethan English.
Yes,
I
that's
thought
right.
you'd be impressed by that.
Yes, that's correct. Good heavens. And I've been over here since I was 10 and a half years old.
Hmm.
I came in 1947.
So 2 years after the war ended.
Yes.
Wow. Dr. Thomas
Yes,
Polucki,
yes.
how can I stay healthy and not die in my pulpit?
Well, that's a good goal to have. The question would be, why is that important to you?
It's important because a lot of pastors that I've either grown up listening to or currently know they've got bad eating habits.
Yeah.
They are getting fatter.
Yeah.
And fatter younger.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to not only be a good example verbally behind the pulpit, but it would be good to be a good example physically.
Yeah.
Because you can talk about it's a sin to do this, that, or the other, but yet if you're a big gluttonous fool, that may not be a good thing either. So
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, we nobody's perfect. We are in a society now that is the biggest health risks are falling in the under 50 group now. It's disturbing. So pretty much, as you know, because I've heard your sermon, pretty much everything out there is designed to tear you down, tear the family apart, make you dependent on some other person that's going to profit from your suffering. Does that ring any bells to you?
It does.
So the same thing with health. And if you want to be a shining example of that health, it's not that difficult. One is what you put in your mouth, what you already have a good handle on what you spend your time thinking about, how you live your life, and for you physically, some activity. Now, cardio is not right for everybody. You look like you have a similar type build as I do, and I'll tell you, my body, I do not respond well to cardio at all. But some resistance training goes a long way. And you don't have to join a gym. You don't have to do an insane boot camp challenge. Some push-ups, some pull-ups, some sit-ups, some squats, all can be done without leaving your desk. And a few minutes of each throughout the course of the day is really all it takes. It doesn't take this overwhelming commitment, and everybody's got a few minutes every hour or so to get up and move around a little bit. And if you move in the 4 basic movement patterns, you've got all your basics covered.
And walking helps too.
Well, Pastor Polucki, thank you for that sermon. I appreciate that very much. And I am now going to go to the altar and pray about that.
There you go. That's the way to do it. So one last chance to give any shameful plugs you want to give.
Or shameless. Well, if you're interested in coming to see a service, Freedom's Way Baptist Church, we are over in Castaic. And you can check us out online at freedomswaybaptistchurch.org. Or if you're interested in listening to a little politics mixed with religion, the two things we're not supposed to be talking about in any civil culture, we do that here every Wednesday live at 2 o'clock here on KHTS.